Have you ever been stranded alone on a boat, miles from anyone who can help you in the middle of a marsh? Happened to me.
Well, shit. I'm in a bit of a pickle.
What's up, guys? Tyler with TKF Life Outdoors, and today I wanted to share with you a little oh shit moment I had a few weeks ago. Kristen and I rented an Airbnb down on the Texas coast. We were going to try to get a little weekend away, just the two of us, get some duck hunting in. I packed up Friday evening and headed down there so I could do a little solo hunt Saturday morning. Kristen had a few things to do around here Saturday morning, so she was going to come out Saturday afternoon, spend the evening with me, and we were going to hunt Sunday morning together. So Saturday morning rolls around, Dolly and I head out there to do a little solo hunt. It was a beautiful morning. Unfortunately, the birds weren't really flying, but we did get a couple. But that's not where the action was that morning. You know, right on par with this Texas weather, that weekend happened to be a real hot weekend in the middle of January. I think the highs were mid 80s. The morning was nice and cool, but once it started to heat up, I figured it was about time to pack it up and head back to the house. And I think Kristen was already hitting the road, so we were planning on kind of getting to the Airbnb around the same time that morning. So I go out, I start picking up the gear, start picking up the decoys, and that's when disaster strikes. And that's when I noticed the motor's running rough and something's not right.
Well, shit.
At this point, I am running every scenario through my head. I'm not 100% sure if it is the fuel pump that's going out or if it's another part of the motor that's giving me problems. All I know is I am stuck miles from anyone who can help me in extremely shallow water, and it's not good. The tide is out, and I am literally sitting in inches of water. The boat is actually sitting in the mud, but luckily the silt down there is so thin that the boat is still floating a little bit. So I'm able to push it around with the push pole a little bit.
Well, Dolly, I'm gonna be stuck out here.
So I got over to the bank, finished picking up the rest of my gear, getting it loaded in the boat, sat down, started thinking, trying to think my way out of this problem. And remember, I'm probably close to 10 miles down the coastline from the nearest town. The area that I'm hunting, luckily, is frequented by other people. You know, we see boats out there all the time fishing, shallow water boats and whatnot. However, the one spot that I am in, I'm several hundred yards away from anybody that can get to me unless they either have a mud boat or have an airboat.
Alright. Well, got a bit of a problem. I think the fuel pump just went out. And I'm a long way away from anybody that can help me. Drink of water. Good news is, I got plenty of layers, food and water, and I do have a trolling motor, but I have to get up to the main channel to use the trolling motor.
It's funny that I mentioned the trolling motor because at the time I didn't know it, but the trolling motor actually wasn't functioning at all. The breaker that we used to control the power to the trolling motor had apparently corroded through and was no longer functioning. So even if I wanted to use the trolling motor at that time, it wouldn't have happened unless I had done some rigging and splicing of some wires to bypass that breaker. Long story short, I didn't have a trolling motor.
Come on. Solve the problem, Tyler. Solve the problem. Sit. Sit.
Now remember, we just bought this boat this year and we've only had it for a few months. So we have done some upgrades to it. I have dug into the motor a little bit. I do understand how it works, but again, this is the first time it's given me any issues. So I'm just trying to run through what all it could be. I don't know if it's the fuel tank, not venting correctly. I know that can be an issue with these motors. This is an EFI motor. It's a Vanguard 37 horsepower EFI, which is electronic fuel injection. So I know the fuel pump could also be an issue, which is what I think it is. Suddenly I remember when I bought the boat, the kid who I bought it from had a spare fuel pump in the boat already. And I kept it in the boat just for emergency purposes.
I wonder. Would that be a fuel pump? Oh, we might possibly be okay.
So at this point, I'm fairly confident it's the fuel pump. But for some reason, I tried to start the motor one more time, and to my surprise, it fired right up. I don't know if the fuel pump cooled off enough. I just got lucky. I don't know if there was sediment in it, or I really don't know. But all I know is the motor fired up, and it was time to get the hell out of there.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
So we run the intercoastal back towards town, and we get all the way to the canal that connects to over where our house is, or our Airbnb is. And sure enough, just as I think I'm home free, the motor quits out on me one last time.
Well, the inevitable happened. Almost got it back to the house. We're just a little ways around this canal, and I think it finally gave out. Even that starter hell, so I'm pretty sure it's this fuel pump. Good news is I have a spare. Bad news is I have to replace it here. Oh, the old hammer trick didn't work, so I guess I do have to replace it. You can sit here and get mad about it, or you can just accept that when you have a boat, this kind of shit just happens. I'm not sure if this is going to be under pressure or not. gasoline all over a 12-volt battery. That's wise. That's smart. It'll be fine, right? Not gonna burst in flames, right? You're only a firefighter. You should know these things, right? Let's pray to God it's this simple. Okay. Don't get water on the open connections. We're not done yet. We've just got enough to get home. So let's get home. Wow. What a morning.
So as you can see, it pays off to be prepared. When you're going to secluded places where help is very limited, if accessible at all, you really have to think ahead and be prepared for situations just like this. Where I was hunting, there was no cell signal, so I wouldn't have been able to call for help. I would have had to, wait for a passing boat and hopefully signal them down. But the likelihood of that was slim based on where I was and the accessibility of where I was. Or I would have had to wait for Kristen to realize I was missing and to gather a search party to come looking for me. I don't think I would have been stranded out there for days on end. I'm not trying to be dramatic that way. Again, it was a very hot day, but the temperatures were plummeting at night. Had I been out there when the temperature plummeted, I did have enough clothing. I had enough layers that I could have layered up. I would have been fine. I would have been able to stay warm. I did have a little bit of food for the dog. I had a little bit of snacks for me. Food's not that big of a importance for something like this, I don't feel like, because I don't feel like we're going to be stuck out there for days on end. But water. We're surrounded by salt water. You can't drink it. The dog needs water. I need water. I'm out there working, pushing this boat around. I was definitely sweating in the middle of January, but that's the Texas coast for you. One day it's freezing cold, the next day it's blazing ass hot. But you got to make sure you stay hydrated. You got to make sure you stay safe. Luckily, this scenario panned out. Everything worked out for me. I was able to get out of that area without having to change anything there. Almost got it back to the house to where I could, relax a little bit. But, where it finally did die wasn't that bad. I could have just gotten off the boat and knocked on somebody's door or something. But again, I had the resources, I had the tools, I had the parts, and I was able to get it swapped out there. So even if it had died, for good out there at the hunting spot, I would have still been able to get out of there. Be prepared. Keep spare parts and tools in your rig to be able to change out those parts. Have contingencies in place. Make sure somebody knows where you are and when to expect you back. Have ways of contacting for help if possible. And as crazy and dramatic as it may seem, have some survival gear. Have signaling devices. Have food, water, clothing, shelter, something. This situation could have gotten bad real quick. But it's good to make sure you have all your bases covered, because you never know when shit's gonna happen. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Go check out some of our other videos, and we'll see you next time.